Hi friends, what's up? Welcome back to episode 5 of the Ultimate Cybersecurity Lab Project. In episode 1, we built our pfsense firewall, we built Kali, Ubuntu, Docker and Portainer. Then in episode 2, we moved on to build downloaded web app, Metasploitable 2 and our vulnerable containers. In episode 3, we moved on to build wazuh and nessus. Then in episode 4, we built securityonion and caldera. And in today's episode, which is episode 5, we are going to build our Windows Server 2022 and a Windows 10 desktop. On that Windows Server 2022, we're going to add all of the domain services. We'll configure DHCP and DNS. We will also move DHCP across from the firewall to the domain controller. So if you are following along, we're going to start off by building the domain controller. If you've just landed here on this video and you want to follow along, then I would suggest you go back to episode 1 and follow this series right through. So a few things we need to do before we can get started. You need to have downloaded the Windows Server 2022 ISO and also Windows 10 ISO. Now you can get them on a 180-day trial from the Windows Evaluation Center. You also need to have the Windows drivers for proxmox as well. So I will include both of those links in the description below. So the first thing we're going to do is log into proxmox and we are going to build the Windows Server 2022. So let's click on create VM. I'm going to give this an ID of 209. I'm going to call mine prod-dc. Let's click on next. I'm just going to select the Windows 2022 ISO that I've uploaded. Over here, we need to change the guest OS to Microsoft Windows. Let's click on next. I'm going to set the TPM storage and also the EFI storage. And then let's click on next again. For the device, I'm going to switch mine to SCSI. And I'm going to put this in this ZFS and I'm going to give it 64 gig. I think that's all we need there. Let's click on next again. I'm going to upgrade it to 2 cores. Let's go next. 4 gig of RAM is totally fine. Go next. In terms of network, I want to put this into my lab LAN. So mine is VMBR2. And I'm also going to add the VLAN 20 tag. And let's click next. And then we're going to click on finish. Okay, so that's the first part of the VM done. What we need to do now is go and create an additional CD-ROM and add the Windows virtual drivers that we've got. So let's go back into the machine we've just created. Click up in hardware. I'm going to just click on add and then choose CD. Then let's just go to the storage and select the Windows virtual ISO that we've uploaded. This is mine, and then just click on add. So this is what it should look like. Okay, so let's click on console and then we will just get the server started. Press any key to start. Okay, I'm just going to go through with the defaults. So click on install. I'm going to choose the Windows Server 2022 Standard Edition with the desktop experience. If you choose the top one, you won't have a GUI, so make sure you choose the second one. Click on next. Accept the licenses. Click on next again. Click on custom. Now you will notice here that you don't have any disks. So if you click on load driver and then click on browse, we're going to go into that second CD ISO that we've added. So you want to open that. We're going to move all the way down here and we're going to choose this one here. This is the VirtIO SCSI. Open that and I'm going to choose Win2K22. So that one, open that and then click OK. You should see Red Hat Virtual SCSI Pass-Through Controller. Let's click on next and it should run through the process of installing those drivers. Perfect, so you can see the 64 gig disk is now there. So just click on next and that will basically just run through the Windows build. Okay, that didn't take too long, so let's click on restart. Okay, let's set the admin password and let's log in. Ideally, we should have received an IP address from the firewall in the 10.10.20 range. Let's just see if that's worked. Yes. Okay. So it's using the firewall and Google for DNS. One thing I like to do when I build Windows servers is to go in here and just disable this. The other thing I want to do on this firewall is by default ICMP will be blocked. So let's just add a rule that allows us to ping this server. It is a lab after all. So we'll just go into Windows Firewall. I'm just going to click on new rule. I'm going to go custom, click next. I'm going to go next again, and I'm going to change the protocol type to ICMP. This one. Go next again. And let's click next. Allow the connection. Allow. And finish. So that is the very first part of building the Windows 2022 server. So the server is built. Now we need to add all of the domain services like Active Directory. We're going to add DHCP, DNS. There's two things I want to do first. I want to rename this server, and I also want to change the networking from DHCP to static. So let's first of all give this machine a static IP. I'm just going to go into the network settings, go to properties, IPv4. I'm going to give this 10.10.20.10. That's 0, 10.10.20.254 is the gateway. I'm just going to add the original settings. So it was 10.10.20.254, and then it was 8.8.8.8. Let's click OK and close. Let's verify that that is all okay. Perfect. Okay, let's now go and rename this server. So I'm just going to right click on this PC, go into properties. I'm going to click on rename this PC, and I'm going to change this to prod-dc. Click next. And just restart. So let's log back into the server. Let's log back in as admin, put my password. So server manager should automatically load up. If it doesn't, you can just open it from the start menu. Let's add the domain services. So click on manage and click on add roles and features, and go next and next again. You can see that it's taken the name, which is good. Let's go next again. I'm gonna click on Active Directory Domain Services. Just click on add features here. I also want to add DHCP, add features, and I also want DNS. And that's it. So click on next, next again, next again, next, and then let's just click on install. Leave that now. That will take a few minutes just to run through the install, and it may reboot just during the install, but it will do everything for you. Okay, so you can see here now it says configuration required. The installation succeeded, so just click on close. Now it hasn't asked me to, but I am just going to give this server another reboot at this stage. So click on restart. Okay, let's log back in. So back here in Server Manager, you should see this. Just click up here, and we're just going to go down to promote this server to a domain controller. So click on that. That is going to bring you through the DC, sort of the configuration. So we need to add a new forest because we don't have any domain existing at the moment. For domain name, I'm just going to give this jared.local. I'm going to click next. The function level is fine because this is the only server on this domain. That's fine, you can leave it at 2016. Put in this password. So just choose any password here. That's fine, leave that like that, and click on next. Click on next again. Okay, then NetBIOS domain name is Jared, that's perfect. Click on next. we can pretty much just follow through the default config here. So next again, next, and then let this go through the install. Once this is done, we will go in, we'll create a security group, we'll create some user accounts. I need to create a domain admin account and also a local user account that I will use to log into the domain. Okay, just click on install. You should see here, this is all the prerequisite checks that it goes through. Everything should look good. Okay, install. Okay, so you see this has actually finished its install. It is going to now reboot. So let's click on close. So whenever the server boots back up, just log in using the password you used previously. Once you get logged in, Server Manager should open up automatically and you should see some extra tiles here. In the top right hand corner, just click on this little flag. It shows the actions that we need to do. So we need to complete DHCP config. So we are going to move DHCP across from the firewall to this DC. But first, let's just open up Active Directory to create some security groups and some users. Okay, I'm just going to branch this down. So we'll go to users. First thing I'm going to do is click on create new group. I'm just going to call this shared folder. I'll do shared folder access, click OK. Then I'm going to create two users. I'm going to create a local user for me. So let's enter the username, click on next. I'm going to untick this. I don't want the user to have to change the password. I'm quite happy to set that now. Click on next and click on finish. So you can see that user is there. The next thing I'm going to do is create a new domain admin account for me. So I'm going to call this geoadmin. Click on next. I'm going to put in a password. So untick this again, click on next and click on finish. Now this admin account, I need to add that to the domain admins group. So go to properties, go into member of, click on add. I'm just going to click on domain admin. Okay, and apply. So that will allow us to use that account as a domain administrator. Okay, so that is those accounts created. Let's log into the firewall and we are going to disable DHCP on VLAN 20 because we want to move that across to the firewall. So 10.10.20.254. Okay, let's log in. So there's admin. Click sign in. So under interfaces VLAN 20, let's just verify. So 10.10.20.254. Okay. Let's go to services, DHCP server. I'm going to choose VLAN 20 and okay, I am just going to tick this box and disable DHCP. So you need to go to the bottom, I believe, and click on save and apply changes. Okay, so let's open up DHCP on this server. I'm gonna branch this out. Okay, so let's just right click on IPv4 and then click on new scope. Click on next. I'm gonna call this a VLAN 20. Click on next again. The starting range, so I'm gonna say 10.10.20 dot. I'm gonna choose 100 this time. I'm gonna go n10.10.20 dot say 120. The mask is a /24. So it's T55, T55, T55 is at 0. Let's click on next. We need to, yeah, we can skip this bit. Click next again. And next. And yes, we want to configure these options now. So the gateway, we want to put in 10.10.20.254. Click add. And click on next. DNS is fine. We're going to go next. Next again, and then next and finish. Let's just go to the server options and make sure some of these things are there. Okay, let's just do a quick reboot. Now we've made some of those changes. Let's just reboot the server one more time. Okay, let's just log back in again. So I'm gonna put in my password. So back in Server Manager, you should see this flag. Let's click up on DHCP configuration here, this one. Let's run through this and click on commit and then close. That should be it done now. So now we've done that, let's just run through what we wanted to do. So we wanted to build a DC, which we've done. We have configured the Active Directory. We've added some users. So there's an admin account, there's a local user account. We wanted to do DHCP, so let's open up that. We've configured that. We migrated the 10.10.20 DHCP config across from the firewall. You can see that's in place now. One other thing that I would like to do, and it's not really that important, is just to create a shared folder. We need to just open up group policy. So let's first of all just create a shared folder. I'm just going to pop it in here. New folder. I'm just going to call it shared. Right click on this, go to properties. We want to go into sharing and advanced permissions. I'm just going to click on share permissions and full control, which is terrible, but okay, and apply, okay, and close. Whenever I log into my workstations, I want that folder to be mapped as a drive. So I'm just going to create a group policy that will do that for me. So under group policy, let's just open this up, make it bigger. Let's branch this down. So under Jared, just right click your top level, so jared.local, and click on create a GPU on this domain and link it here. I'm just going to call it map network drive. Click OK. So that should create the group policy here. You want to click on the group policy, you want to right click and click on edit. And down here under user configuration, under preferences, under Windows settings, you should see drive maps. So I'm going to click on that. We're going to right click on new map drive. I'm just going to leave this as update. I'm going to, let's just get the location of that drive. So if you open up Server Manager, it should be prod-dc /shared. I'm just going to copy this, the folder path to that shared folder. Let's go back to group policy. I'm going to paste that in. I'm going to use the G drive. We can leave this is all fine. Click on common. We are going to click on run in users security contacts, item level targeting. We want to enable that. So click on targeting. So I want to map the drive based on user within a security group. So the security group that I created previously, if a user is added to that group, then this drive will be mapped for them. So we need to click on new item, click on security group. So this says the user is a member of the security group. So let's just choose the security group. And I called it shared drive, I believe, shared folder access. Click OK. So that means that if you're a member of the security group, then this group policy will apply to you. So click on OK, click on apply, and OK again. So that should do it. The last thing we need to do is just to go back into Active Directory. I'm going to find my user, and I want to make sure that they're a member of that security group. So shared folder access, and then click apply and OK. And I will do the same thing for this admin account. So go into the admin account, click on properties, go to member of, and you want to click on add and make sure it is a member of the shared folder access security group. Click OK, apply and OK. And in terms of the DC setup, that is pretty much it for now. Let's just put a little test file here. So that is it. The DC is built. The next thing we'll do is build a Windows 10 VM. We will add that to the domain. We will log in there as the local account or the Gerda domain account, and that should map our network drive, and we also should get DHCP from this domain controller. Let's create a new VM for the Windows 10 desktop. I'm going to give this an ID of 210. I'm going to call mine prod-win10. Click on next, the OS. So we need to select the ISO for Windows 10. So this is this one. I'm going to change this type to Microsoft Windows. Okay, that's fine. The TPM storage again, we need to select that. I'm going to select the same one as I did previously. Okay, click next. So I want to drop the device. I want to change this to SCSI. I'm going to put this in my ZFS storage. Again, 64 gig storage should be totally fine. Next. I'll just up it to 2. Click on next. 4 gig is fine. Network wise, we are going to put this into our VMBR2. And this is in VLAN 20. Click next and finish. And again, just like we did previously, go back into the VM, click on hardware. We are going to add another CD-ROM. I'm going to select the storage location where the ISO lives, and we're going to add this, the virtual IO, the Windows drivers. So click on that, click add, and we can now go and start that. So click on start now. So click next, install, accept the license and terms, click next, click on custom. Again, we have to go to the same process, so click on load driver, click browse, and go down to this CD drive again. So we need to go down to this one here, the VirtIO SCSI. This is Windows 10. And AMD64, click OK. And then click next. And it should install that driver. Perfect. Okay, so the drive is now there. Click next and let this run through the install process. Okay, so that's going to restart automatically. You can just click on restart now if you want. Okay, so it is going to bring us through this sort of setup. So we'll just follow through. Click on yes. Okay, hit yes again. I'm going to skip this. Sit back, relax while we work on magic. Turn off Microsoft. So at this stage, we want to click on domain join instead. So who's going to use this PC? So I'm just going to put in my name. Click on next. Click on next again. Confirm your password. Again, this won't matter because we're going to log into this machine as a domain user. So I'm just going to put in silly answer to each of these questions. Name your city. I'm just going to use the same thing for every one of them. Click next. I'm just going to accept all the defaults. Accept, and it should take you into the Windows 10 desktop eventually. Okay, so we're in. So you can see that it has received an IP address. Let's just open up command prompt and see what IP we've got. So you can see it is using 10.10.20.100. So that is an IP address from DHCP on the domain controller. So that's good. So close that. Let's add this PC to the domain. Advanced system settings. Under computer name, you should see this. So click on change. I'm going to set this to domain, and I'm going to put in the domain ger.local. Click OK. It should ask me for a password. I can use my domain password, my domain admin account that I created earlier. So put that in, click OK. So welcome to the ger.local domain, which is good. And it is going to ask me just to reboot this PC. So let's just do that first. So we'll reboot. Whenever that restarts, we then should be able to log in using the Gerda local account that I created. Okay, so let's log in. So let's hit other user. We want to log in as Gerd. / and then the user account I created was Jared O'Brien. Then let me put in my password, and that should log us into the domain. Okay, happy days, we are logged in. Let's just open up this PC and see if it, okay, so it has done it. It's automatically mapped that G drive that we created as well, which is good. It's perfect. So that is a 2022 server domain controller built with those additional services, and also a Windows 10 desktop that is added to that domain. And as you can see, we just created that little group policy to map a network drive. There is literally so many different features and stuff that you can use within Windows Server 2022. So if you want to continue on from this lab and play around with any of the services, then by all means, this is ready to go. You can add more additional roles and features. Let's have a look at some of the other ones. Depending on what you want to do, there is other stuff you could do here, like web servers. You could add the remote desktop services feature here. There's so much you can do now that you actually have a domain. So that is where we will end today's video. Again, thank you so much to everybody who has watched these videos in these series. This YouTube channel has went from having like a couple of hundred subscribers to 5,000 in literally a few months and stuff. So thank you so much to everybody genuinely who's watching all these videos and commenting and liking the content. I'm going to continue the lab. Once we've built everything, we will come back across each of the tools and deep dive into each of them and see what we can do with them. So if you're interested in following along and you haven't seen any of these videos so far, then I would highly recommend you go back to episode 1 and follow the series right through. We have made a number of different changes to get to this point, and some other things I might do, I might move DHCP across from the firewall to the DC, and I might move some of the machines around in the various different networks. But we will see how things go in the lab. But again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week.